The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right. Welcome to the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm your host, and to my right is the guy who is just he's the go-to guy for like sports stuff and music, but mostly music stuff because I was listening to music before I came in. He was jamming out to some of the tunes I had on. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
I'm doing all right. I wouldn't call myself the go-to guy of much, but I appreciate your kind words. And it's good to be to the right of you today, sir. The Saturday morning shows, some of my favorite shows. I love all the shows. And if you haven't listened to this man, go listen to him on his other shows, because not only does he get into the yucks with me, he also is on Total Football Talk Extra with D. Willie, our friend of the show. And he also is another co-host on the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, which is co-hosted by someone I'm getting to know a little bit better these days, one Daniel Smooth. They talk Islanders, Rangers, and of course, Devils hockey. Tune in. You get appearances from Bruce, the emotional support shark. You get to find out how many microphones Daniel Smooth has. You get to see Ryan silently gloat that his team is doing well. Don't think I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
But I am happy to be here with you today, sir. How are you?
Whoa. I'm sending out our these show announcements on Twitter, and I see a tornado warning in San Francisco.
Wow.
Wacky. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in that case. I mean, I'm glad that
I'm here.
yeah, I'm glad that I'm here, and I'm also glad that both teams already played, which we will get into.
Yes.
But
yes.
Oof. But at least they're both. Well, actually, do the Niners travel after that game? I'm not sure. They might.
I want to say yes, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in just a brief moment. But just want to remind the folks at home to please follow us on social media. Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, to scarcely use TikTok @NoCredsREQ, and YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora, and hit that notification bell. On Twitter, I still refuse to call it X, and on YouTube. That way you know when the show is live, when we have show announcements, or when we put up a video like the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast. During Christmas break, we're going to have a little bit of a break. We're not going to do a live show on Tuesday because why would you? It's Christmas Eve, you monster. We will have a show on Monday the 30th, though. So
Yes.
7:05 Eastern, Monday the 30th, we will be live trying to wrap up week 17. My goodness, it's already week 15 in the NFL.
This is crazy.
But you can also find as Dustin mentioned, the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast. On the podcast side, rate and review that they help the show. Every rating helps the show. Every review helps the show. If you're subscribed on Spotify, you can leave a comment. You can leave a comment just letting us know what your opinion is on the episode. Also, it's the live show on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern and most Tuesdays at 7:05 Eastern. Although this Tuesday, will be on a little bit later at around 8:30, 8:15, 8:30-ish. We'll figure it out. But
yeah,
we'll be a little bit later on Tuesday, but that's okay. We'll still be live, but you can always engage with our show. Leave us a comment. And Dustin, I'm looking at my watch. Well, my non-existent watch, although it's a hair past a freckle right now. Hey, but my other watch is telling me it's a certain time.
It's chime time.
It's chime time. And actually, before we move forward with our topics today, brief show announcement. My buddy Gaz reached out to me. Tom Gazlowski, radio guy from Albany, New York. We're gonna do a special top 5 local sports stories of the year and top 5 national news stories of the year. According to us, it'll air. It'll be a No Credentials Required special podcast only edition, audio only edition. So check it out when it drops. It's probably gonna drop around probably around the 30th or the 31st. Make it a bonus episode, but it'll also be possibly be on the air in Albany on Fox Sports 980 on New Year's Eve and on January 1st. So check it out on the airways. And not only do I have stuff going on, but Dustin, I've been told you have a new side project going on with one of our fellow Belly Up co-hosts. Tell the people.
I do. And as I said to him yesterday when we debuted, I said, I think we've unleashed some sort of kraken. We have a unholy alliance, I called it. I said, here
is it a Seattle Kraken?
It might be, but the show is hosted by one Staniel Smooth, friend of the show, fellow Belly Up contributor, host of the Time to BS podcast. Also, I believe show. The BS
sessions and the sports cave. He does a live show, the Sports Cave. Yeah, he's everywhere.
I told him yesterday. I said, I think Ryan's still the busiest man, but I was like, you're chomping at the heels. But a lot of people. I mean, Cole's got stuff going on. You know, everybody that we've worked with has a lot of stuff going on. And I was like, he was the one. He reached out to me. He said, hear me out. And he texted me on Instagram a picture of a logo. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that logo is sick. And then we started talking about it. It was a very quick thing. I said, because he's more knowledgew about the Seahawks than I am. I doffed my cap to him. I was like, you are more knowledgeable. Your team knowledge is better than mine. But I said, if you like my brand of shenanigans, I can bring them to the show. And he said, I was thinking of your shenanigans, which is why I'm reaching out to you. Mm-hmm. And so here we are. It debuted last night, episode 1 of Seahawks Sessions. If you follow Staniel on his feeds, he will be promoting it there. Once I get some things figured out, will be promoting it possibly here and other spots. So I got to get some of that stuff worked out. But if you're a Seahawks fan like us and you also enjoy when Ryan and I get off the rails, Staniel and I can already get off the rails. And the first episode we talked about, you know, the differences between the Pete Carroll era and the transition to the Mike Macdonald era. We talked about how our fandom both respectively started because we're 2 Seahawks fans in New York. We talked about possibly having Kevin Wilson on, who he did show up in the comments. He figured out what was happening. And so we talked about having him on and chopping it up. And I talked about that episode where it was no credentials required. And it was the 3 of us and you. And I felt bad for you because we were all just talking the Seahawks. So,
I'm just going to sit here in the background and produce, you know. Actually, fun little thing. And that's going to be awesome. I'll definitely give it a listen after after we're done here. But I do have a sneak preview of what we're going to talk about on the next edition of the 3 Rails Metro Hockey Podcast. It'll be this.
Oh, man.
This was during a penalty shot on Thursday's game between the Kings and the Devils. Alex Turcotte was taking a penalty shot against Jacob Markstrom. And this guy decides, I'm just going to tease out for the Devils. And Alex Turcotte missed.
He was sufficiently distracted.
Apparently he was, yeah.
Oh, man.
We get some comments rolling in from our friend Sapna. The pink can of Sapna has shown up with saying sorts ball, but I think she meant sports ball.
Sorts Ball Organization Podcast.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. And then Brent Redlinski from the 1420 Sports Bar Podcasting. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Brent. Thanks for joining us. Speaking of another hardworking dude on the podcast side, he's got his podcast, but he's also he was also the general manager of a Western Canadian baseball league team this year, the Lethbridge Bulls.
Yeah, that's amazing. People are out here doing things, and I'm like stressing out about starting another podcast. I'm like, oh, I do 3 times a week now. I don't know.
No!
I don't know how people.
No!
I don't know how people
Welcome to my world.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And
as Bruce Willis said to the terrorist after he shot out the window in Die Hard, "Welcome to the party, pal."
And I also, Brent, we got to get your thoughts on the Max Farid signing. So
yeah,
so
we might have to do like 10 good minutes with him.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good because it was awesome chopping it up on his podcast with him. Unfortunately, we were talking about great memories in Yankee history, and this last World Series was not one. But at least they got there.
Especially Game 5 when Judge dropped the ball and Garrett Cole forgot to cover first base.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's not only just Max Fried that they acquired. They also traded for Devin Williams, the Airbender, to shore up their bullpen because
he was on the Brewers, wasn't he?
On the Brewers. And unfortunately, sent Nestor Cortez as part of the package deal. So, I remember back in April when I went to the stadium, I had that masterful, I think, 2-hit performance against the Marlins. It was it was the fastest game I ever witnessed.
Because the Marlins have no offense.
Well, the Marlins had no offense, but also Nestor was just pitching so good. Dealing. I think that game was 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh man,
crazy! It was crazy. But it was also my first time witnessing a game with the new pitch clock rules, because I hadn't been in Yankee Stadium since 2019. Yeah, 2019. So
yeah, which was that when we went?
No, that was when my nephew, my friend Will, his wife Karen, and then at that time their infant son Alexander, was had gone. It was it was a steamy August day, so Yankees did not play that well that game, but that's okay. There were many others. I mean, it depends. I mean, with the Yankees, it depends on how they played when they show up. Because I think I'm 500. I think the Yankees are 500 when I go to one of their games.
All right.
They had lost the previous 2 they had gone to, and they won this time. So I think they're 500 all time when I go to Yankee Stadium.
All right. That's not bad. Because let me tell you, I think my record is slightly better in the new stadium, but at the old stadium it was bad. The first 2 times I saw them, they got trounced, and then I believe the last couple times I saw them. One, as I talked about, was Mike Mussina's final season. Mm-hmm. Love that dude. Mike Mussina. I know people are like, he's an Oriole. To me, he's a Yankee. I think if he ever were to go in, he'd go in with a Yankee hat. I know he started with the Orioles, but he did everything he could for the Yankees. And I just like the way he carried himself. I always did. Always did, Mike Mussina. He won. That was against the Indians, I believe, at the time. Everybody.
I think they're coming back, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, hopefully, I mean, that logo was their logo was a little, they got to make some changes if they do bring that back. But yeah. And then I think, did they win? There was a game against the Royals that I think they won in extras, but it was one of the longest games of my life. As I detailed in previous shows, we use Yankee trails, so you're up in right field, you're baking. You're baking out there.
We'll have to do an episode of straight up our experiences at live games, because this is it's getting. I was talking about the longest game you ever went to. I had to talk about the longest game I ever went to. My dad told me I was out of the will. So let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm talking about some hot food takes, Dustin.
Oh,
man. You had texted me yesterday saying, "Hey, do we have anything lined up for hot food takes today?" And I go, "No." So I hadn't really thought about it, honestly.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
And you threw out some ideas like, "Hey, crock pot, yes or no?"
I still think we should do that one.
course. I mean, or we could do like a top 5 kitchen appliance. We could do our kitchen appliances power ranking. I mean,
Oh yeah,
but
we
for
could
this
do that.
episode, we are going to do a power ranking, but a different type. Power rankings, breakfast cereals.
This is tough.
This is tough because I don't eat cereal as much as I used to. I'm more of an eggs guy, egg sandwich. A couple eggs and an apple. That's my breakfast these days. But every once in a while, I'll indulge and I'll have myself a little bit of cereal. So go back to your kids. Go back to the old times when you were a kid. Get Saturday morning, get yourself a bowl of cereal, plop yourself in front of the TV, watch some mindless cartoons, which were, according to my dad, and I quote, they're just half-hour long toy commercials. Close quote.
I mean, he's not totally wrong. He's not totally wrong.
But yeah, as you get older, you realize, holy crap, he's totally right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lead off. I'll have Dustin lead off here. Dustin, your top 5 breakfast cereal power rankings. Go.
This was so hard. Because unlike you, Ryan, and I know I shouldn't eat it as much as I do. I know I shouldn't, but I still love cereal. Now, my cereal eating habits have changed since I was a kid. I'm not going out and getting like, the cereals that make you feel like you're gonna, go into shock after you finish them because they got so many.
You don't feel like you need to go. Yeah, you don't feel like you need to go into rehab after you eat a bowl or an entire box.
But I mean, I have great memories of cereal. My grandma, it used to be a late night snack she would give us when we're staying there. She would let us pour us a bowl of cereal at like 11 o'clock. We thought it was the best. Like, there's so much. I love cereal. It brings back so many memories. It's one of my favorite things. So this was hard for me. I'm going to offend some cereals that I've left off the list. I'm going to think of it later. I'm going to be like, oh man. But I will go in descending order because, as usual, I followed your lead. At number 5, I have Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes, which did I just have a bowl right before the show this morning? Yes. Does it make the milk taste a certain way when it gets soggy? Yes, that is why I like it. But most times, Frosted Flakes, even though they sog up quick, they're usually gone before they sog up for me because I eat cereal like a madman. All right, number 4. Number 4. Shout out to my mom. I continue to work a shout out to her in almost every show I do lately, it seems. But Honey Nut Cheerios, this was her favorite. She would eat this constantly while I was growing up. And when I was younger, I didn't appreciate it. But as I got older, Honey Nut Cheerios has entered the podium of cereals for me. Really like it. At number 3, we got Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, first of all, one of the greatest jingles. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Love that. And I had a piggy bank, and you would put change in it, and it would play the jingle. It was awesome. And does everybody remember when there were 3 chefs? It wasn't always just Chef Wendell. Right now, it's just Chef Wendell. And back in the day when the cereal was incepted into the world, it was just Chef Wendell. But around when I was a tyke, they introduced 2 other chefs that I can't remember the names of, but one of them was really tall, and the other one had black hair. Chef Wendell is the main guy with the glasses, but there were 3 chefs, and I had the piggy bank. Love the cereal. It's good. Great cinnamon taste. I love cinnamon. It's top 3 for me. And then these next 2 picks, my number 1 pick, people are going to riot in the streets. But number 2, Sugar Smacks. I am a big fan of Diggum the Frog. Now, I'll also get down on Golden Crisp, Honey Bear, he's okay too. He's got the blue shirt. He's running around out there. But I prefer Sugar Smacks with Diggum the Frog. These are delicious. I don't even know what they taste like except for like sugar with a hint of honey. Every once in a while, I'll turn back the clock and I'll get these. I will get these. And it does what asparagus does. I'm not going to go further much into that. If you eat asparagus, you know what I'm talking about. Sugar Smacks does the same thing. After you eat it, you will smell smells. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. but it is so delicious.
You sound like sugar, like eating Sugar Smacks is like dropping acid.
It could be. It could be. But my number
Not that I've
one...
ever done it or condone it. I'm just saying the description you're saying, the description you make it out to be.
Watch Elf and watch Kyle Gass's scene where he talks about asparagus, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Sugar Smacks does the same thing, but it's delicious while you're eating it. One of my favorites. And then we got it number one, and this has been my number one since I'm a kid. It's just not since I've gotten older that this is my number one. And if anyone knows me, this is my go-to food. If I had to win an eating contest, I would pick my number one cereal because no one is stopping me. Regular Cheerios. Fight me, everyone.
Okay.
Regular Cheerios are delicious. They are delicious. I had a bowl of them before the show, too. I had 2 bowls of cereal and coffee. I'm ready to go. I should exercise for hours today because cereal is not really good for you. But
if you see Dustin leave hastily during the show, you'll know why.
Yeah. But regular Cheerios have always been my favorite. I think there's a variety of factors. 1, I just like the way it tastes. 2, every once in a while I'll dress it up. Not as I've gotten older, but when I was a kid, I did this after seeing my grandparents do it. I put a little sugar on regular Cheerios, and that, especially when that melts into the milk, it's so good. But regular Cheerios, I think it's nostalgia, and I like the taste, and I like everything. It was to my memory, it was my grandpa Nichols' favorite cereal, and I looked up a lot to him when I was a kid. So that could be the reason why I started eating it. I'll never know, but it is still my number one cereal. And if I had to do an eating contest, no one's stopping me with regular Cheerios. I would destroy everyone. I once ate, when I was a teenager, I ate a family-sized box of Cheerios in a half an hour, to the point where my mom had to pull me aside and say, "Hey, you can't do that. You can't
How old
do
were
that."
you?
I was probably like 14, 15.
Oh, see, I understand that. Like, if you're 14 or 15, yeah, you do that because when you're a teenage boy, your hunger increases exponentially.
Yeah. But she pulled me aside and she said, "Hey, Cheerios are expensive. That was supposed to last a week. You can't do that." She said it much nicer than that, but I can't remember, it was something to that effect. But that is my number one, and people are going to riot in the streets and fight me. But Ryan, I had a lot of fun doing this, and I do have to say this honorable mention to Boo Berry. I tried to figure out where to put it on this list, but then I was like, Boo Berry is like, it's kind of seasonal, but I think it's not. Like, Count Chocula is available all year round, and I think Boo Berry is now as well.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I gotta go with the more like mainstays. There were so many cereals that I felt like I left out, and I just feel bad about it. But I had a lot of fun doing this. How about you, sir?
All right. So while you were talking about Cinnamon Toast Crunch and the OGs, so I went to the General Mills webpage about the story of Chef Wendell.
Okay.
And this page is clearly outdated.
Oh, no.
Because it said, and I quote, "As Cinnamon Toast Crunch marks its 30th birthday this year, the brand team is also taking time to salute Chef Wendell, the cereal's baker." This was posted on October 23rd, 2014.
Oh, oh man, a solid 10 years.
This page is 10 years old. But then it goes into the history of Wendell the Chef. And it says, and I quote, "The cereal debuted in 1984, so it's 40 years old."
Oh, man.
God. Wendell went to work at that time, too, along with his 2 sidekick bakers, Bob and Quelo, Quello, and first appeared on the Cinnamon Toast Crunch box and in advertising in 1987.
Okay, yeah.
We don't know where Bob and Quelo went. Were they Were they bought out by Wendell? Were they bought out by General Mills? Were they whacked in a New Jersey swamp? Leave the gun.
By that guy that took our picture.
Leave the gun. Yeah, leave the gun. Take the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah. Oh, man. This batch doesn't taste as good. Apparently, we need all 3 of them to make it.
This is Wendell's recipe and Wendell's recipe only. You got me? Capiche?
Oh, man.
It's gonna start a conspiracy theory. My goodness.
Yeah, but you know what, Ryan?
Did
we
Wendell
should start.
have Bob and Quelo whacked?
We have to start a podcast, Ryan, searching for Quelo.
Searching for Bob and Quelo.
Yeah.
The Cinnamon Toast Crunch files.
We're the men for the job.
We're the dudes for the job.
Yeah.
I gotta get a duster, a trench coat for that though, if I want to do that.
Yeah. And we got to get fedoras too. And we got to have someone. Narrate what's going on. He opened.
It could be your Uncle Al. He's got the perfect voice for it.
Yeah, it would work. But
the script will be so ridiculous. He'll probably not try to contain his laughter while he reads on. All right, so I'll go quickly. My in descending order from 5. Honorable mention to Sugar Crisp with Sugar Bear. Can't get enough of that Sugar Crisp.
Guess I forgot to put the fog lights in.
So number 5, honorable mention, Sugar Crisp. Number 5, Cocoa Puffs. I was cuckoo for Cocoa. This will tell you the tales of my insulin resistance for so many years.
Oh man!
So starting at number 5, Cocoa Puffs, and one of the weirdest things, I made weird combinations when I was a kid of food.
Okay.
So every once in a while, I would make microwave popcorn and put soy sauce on it.
Whoa.
Uh-huh. Yeah, weird.
Dude, that salt intake.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So not only did it start my insulin resistance, it also started my high sodium count. People wonder why I sweat so much. But one thing I used to do is I used to see my dad take some raisins when he have his cereal in the day. He'd usually have Cheerios. You have Cheerios, put a little bit of sugar on it, and add raisins, and add bananas, and then add his milk.
Okay.
And I said, okay. One day I said, all right, what if I took Cocoa Puffs and combine them with raisins?
Ooh.
I like have a raisinette cereal.
Okay.
It was okay. It was all right. It was okay. But I also discovered in my teenage years, by the way, I also discovered the magical combination of microwave popcorn and Doritos.
Okay, now that one I can co-sign.
Or chocolate or potato chips.
But I'll probably make a batch of popcorn tonight, but you will not catch me putting soy sauce on it.
You won't. No. I'm a weird person.
Yeah,
right?
we both are, Ryan. That's how we found each other.
That's true. This is why our planets gravitate around each other. So number 4, Cocoa Krispies. And I'll tell you why Cocoa Krispies. Okay. Because when you combine it with milk, you eat your Cocoa Krispies first.
Yeah.
You have chocolate milk to drink at the end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what are your thoughts on Cocoa Pebbles? Because you got Cocoa Puffs and you got Cocoa Krispies. Cocoa Pebbles, they kind of fall down the.
It's post ripoff of Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah. Okay. So they're the ones left behind.
Yeah, and by the way, Fruity Pebbles and Fruit Loops, they all taste the same.
Mm-hmm.
Every flavor, no matter what color the pebble or the loop is, it's the same taste.
Yeah, I mean, it does taste good though, because recently, and I forget, it might have been from Duck Donuts. I think they had a Fruity Pebble donut.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm trying that, and it was delicious.
It was good. Yes, Duck Donuts. I gotta stop by sometime. Get myself a maple bacon.
Oh, that's a killer combo.
Sick to be joining us just in time for my hot food take, saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night from all the way from Norway. where I suspect is currently, I think it's what 3:30, 4:30 and it's probably the sun is probably down regardless. So
6 everywhere, man. I was
he is.
watching. I had the day off yesterday, so in the middle of my endless boot loop, I was watching Cole's show live, the morning show with Cole Johnson
Yeah.
on the BS3 network, and I was watching the tail end of it. And guess who was in the comments? Sick was there. He was messaging. I mean, he's always there.
Yeah, he's in our Discord chat too.
Oh yeah.
He also says, "I didn't think I'd walk into a conversation about breakfast cereals." Yep, you did. All right, so at number 4, Cocoa Puffs. Number 3, Cocoa Krispies. Number 2, and number 3, excuse me. And I didn't really get into this I didn't really get into this cereal when I was until I was a little bit older. Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's. I mean, regular Cheerios are kind of bland and That's why my dad would add the raisin. Probably why. I mean, I get it. I get it, Dustin. I know you're a big fan of the Cheerios, and I mean, I used to see my parents put sugar on top of their Cheerios every day before we went our separate ways. But Honey Nut Cheerios have that certain sweetness and also unsinkable, and also the unsinkable Cheerios, of course, the unsinkable cereal. Remember trying to drown that cereal when I was a kid. It was like, nope, it's as advertised. It's unsinkable.
It's because of that. It's because of that food additive that Clark Griswold put in there.
Don't try this at home, kids. But yeah, I didn't really discover the magic of Honey Nut Cheerios until I was a little bit older, probably in my late 20s, early 30s, when I would have just every once in a while I'd crave a bowl of cereal. I'm like, oh, Honey Nut Cheerios. Boom, does the trick every time. All right, number 2, Frosted Flakes. Again, this is you're taking the journey into my insulin resistance. But Frosted Flakes was like the huge thing when I was a kid because you see the cartoon on TV, Tony the Tiger.
Oh, and man. A legendary voice.
Legendary great.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. An absolute marvel with the mascots. And yeah, I get it. This is why my dad says it's just it's just cartoons are used for advertise for kids for making their parents buy them food. It's like, yeah, it worked, didn't it? And I remember my grandfather, who would eat my pop, he would eat Frosted Flakes, and he actually saved up enough box tops to get himself a free Tony the Tiger t-shirt back in the day.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope someone somewhere saved that. Because that'd be awesome if you all of a sudden were like, I have the Tony the Tiger shirt. It'd be great.
There was actually a store back in the day at Colony Center. Like they sold retro t-shirts, and I got myself a Frosted Flakes t-shirt. Nice. And a Lucky Charms t-shirt. I used to wear that on St. Patrick's Day. I would wear that.
Yeah, I think I remember the Lucky Charms one. Was it a red shirt?
No, it was a green one.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it might be. But both of those shirts, they're not fitting you now, my friend. They're long
gone. Yeah, they were triple X. I'm still a double X guy, but only because my shoulders are just so huge.
He's jacked.
I'm jacked. Well, I got dad bod going on.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm not a dad.
I'm not a dad either. I'm a father figure, but I'm not a dad. And at number 1 for my cereal rankings, it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, without a doubt the OG. Oh, Golden Grams! I forgot to mention Golden Grams.
I know. See, this is the problem. This is the problem because I was an Apple Jacks kid too. That's straight. You want to talk about straight sugar in a box? Apple Jacks. That was crazy.
And you wonder why so many adults now have all these chronic diseases.
Yeah.
Between Pop-Tarts, donuts, cereals. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right, we got a couple more comments, so we're going to move on. Sick Dicky says, I love Cheerios. Apple Cinnamon as well as Honey Nut.
Apple Cinnamon, good.
Apple Cinnamon, I haven't had Apple Cinnamon Cheerios yet. Fortunately, I got health conscious at 9 or 10. And switch to multigrain Cheerios.
Multigrain Cheerios are in my cupboard right now. Sick. I still like them.
He says, unfortunately, I had to give up a lot of things due to celiac disease. I know there's a special cereal out there. I can't. Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that yet, but it's insanely expensive. I want to try it, but they're insanely expensive. But hey, Magic Spoon, if you're watching, I know you're watching.
If you're watching,
you want to send us a couple samples so we can try it and give a testimonial and then sell your product.
And also, we both host multiple podcasts now, so you get like plugs everywhere.
We got multiple streams, my friend.
Yeah.
He also says my mom would take a box of cornflakes and Frosted Flakes, no matter which was which. Both boxes had a mix. Smart move, Mom. He also says, "Oh, Apple Jacks were insane. Don't forget about Cookie Crisp and Raisin Bran. Cookie Crisp was disappointing. Cookie Crisp. Yeah, Cookie Crisp was always disappointing because it would get soggy very fast.
Yeah, but again, Ryan, I always ate it well before it got soggy. I'm a madman.
You're a madman. I mean, you didn't let yours sink in. And
certain cereals I would though.
They changed the box.
Yeah,
for the Cookie Crisp. It's not the
not
dog
Chip
and
the dog.
Not Chip the Dog anymore, or they rebranded it Chip the Dog. Oh, Cookie Crisp came out in 1977. So hey, maybe my 50th birthday I'll eat a box of.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, let's do that. Our next birthday, we'll each find a cereal that debuted the year we were born, and we will eat it. We will eat it.
So you're what, 1983?
I am.
Okay, let me look it up. Cereals that debuted in 1983. Yeah. Oh, okay. So here are some cereals that debuted in 1983. Crispix from Kellogg.
Oh, I love the Crispix.
Which is the their version of Chex. Smurfberry Crunch, which I don't think, and these next four probably don't exist anymore. Smurfberry Crunch, which I think I remember having. I remember Mr. T cereal, which is basically Captain Crunch in T with a letter T form. Donkey Kong Jr., Morning Funnies.
Oh man.
And Strawberry Shortcake.
Yeah, I guess Crispix is the one. I will gladly eat some Crispix. Does anyone remember the commercial of Crispix? The guy, first of all, I had a jingle that I can't remember as much, but there was a dad that was eating Crispix, and the Crispix were so crunchy that it blew him up to the ceiling. Yes, these Crispix commercials, it was crazy.
I'll have to find it.
Yeah, some of the cereal commercials. But Ryan, you said 77, so we got to find a cereal for
I got it.
You got Cookie
Crisp, Bran Chex, and Frosted Rice.
I'm forcing you to eat Bran Chex.
No. I'm not gonna eat Bran Chex.
You have some good ones. Though.
Yeah. Thick says, when it comes to Captain Crunch, which was your go-to between Crunch Berry and Peanut Butter Crunch? I think the OG version for me did it because because I mean, there's those rumors where they cut people had their roofs of their mouths cut, and Family Guy did that parody of Count Chocula saying, "Why are you suing Captain?" No, it was Captain Crunch suing Count Chocula.
Yeah,
because that son of a bitch always says that.
Because that
cut the roof of kids' mouths.
Yeah, it's been spreading lies. I love that.
Julie from Michigan saying a late hello, gentlemen. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for joining us. You're just coming at the tail end of hot food takes for our top 5 cereals, our power rankings, cereal power rankings. So
yeah, put them in the chat, everybody.
Yes. So that's been our edition of hot food takes.
Once again, almost 40 minutes into the show. Here we are.
This is we're off the rails today. All right, we're gonna quickly review Thursday Night Football. Rams at 49ers. The Rams take this one in an ugly affair, 12-6. I believe that there were some inclement weather involved in this game, which could have contributed to the ugliness of this game. So I didn't watch this game. I was too busy I was on corner booth pre-game having some fun, chopping it up with Jared and the boys.
Yeah.
And I was also recording the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast. Episode 7 is live. If you want to check it out. But I watched the highlights, and it just seemed like this was just a defensive affair. Although I will say the 49ers, the Rams held the 49ers to less than 200 yards of total offense, including 68 on the ground. This is how much I think the 49ers miss having Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Like their identity is kind of sank a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Niners offense just seemed to drop dramatically. Then you had some drama on the sidelines with Devondre Williams from the 49ers.
I believe one of their linebackers.
Yeah, he refused to go back in the game after he came out, or he had some injury issue, and he wanted to go, or he didn't want to go back in. So his time might be done in San Francisco. But a lot of people had the 49ers, excuse me, picked as their NFC representative for the Super Bowl. Initially, I did too, because I thought they were that good initially. But unless they went out and get a lot of help and their schedule is not friendly, the 49ers, they may be done and for the season. And I mean, if you're a 49ers fan, you got to be disappointed. I know our guy Snowman is a 49ers fan, and he's obviously probably feeling less than excited that the 49ers aren't doing as well as he thought they would. I mean, I remember him saying that they were going to absolutely run through everyone this year, but between injuries and what now looks to be a team in turmoil on the sideline, at least in their defensive unit. And not only do they also have to deal with some of the salaries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Brandon Ayuk got a huge extension, tore his ACL. Deebo Samuel got a huge contract last year, and he made a post on social media about playing time and then deleted it. Somebody did.
Yeah.
Then you got Christian McCaffrey's issues, and then you got with the injuries. And then Brock Purdy's contract is coming up. He's coming up on his 5th year. So they're going to have to pay him a lot of money and make some decisions down the road. And between all the drama on the sidelines and, with questions about Kyle Shanahan's coaching and now salary cap issues, they got some decisions to make in the offseason, and they're not going to be pretty.
Yeah, and we did discuss this briefly on episode 1 of Seahawks Sessions, and both Staniel and I talked about how Brock Purdy, he's looked a little more human this year, a little bit of regression. But I posed a question to him, and I want to pose it to you too. Sorry for the crossover between the two. There's probably gonna be some repeat content because I talk a lot on both shows, so you're probably gonna hear some of the same stuff, but there is something, Ryan, and tell me if you agree, and I'd love to pose this to Snowman because he is a Niners fan. I think there's something with the 49ers strength and conditioning staff or their medical staff. Something goes on because the running backs position, especially, they've had injuries the past few seasons everywhere, but especially at the running back position, it's been ridiculous. Christian McCaffrey hurt. Isaac Guerrero left this game. He was their 3rd running back because Jordan Mason also hurt. Previous years, Jeff Wilson Jr. hurt. Raheem Mostert hurt. Jerick McKinnon signed with that team, hurt, barely ever played a snap. And all 3 of these individuals, Jeff Wilson Jr., I believe he was drafted by the Niners. I can't remember. But, it just seems like they can't keep their running backs healthy. Now, is it on the GM is it on John Lynch for signing these guys who maybe they're prone to injury, or is it their staff? Because you see other people. As far as I know, Jerick McKinnon was healthy for the majority of his Vikings career and then got injured, and then the Niners, he signed with the Niners after rehabbing. But I can't remember. But there's got to be something because their running backs are hurt every year. I mean, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the quality of depth for the 49ers has dipped significantly because a lot of these guys made their living as depth players, as bench players, and now gone to different things. You mentioned Raheem Mostert, uh, former who was a former practice squad player with the New York Jets, by the way.
Oh man, missed on that one. He's a good player.
Swing and a miss. But a lot of these guys who are starting now, like on different teams, cut their teeth as a depth player with the 49ers. Like a Raheem Mostert. He had himself a huge game a couple of years ago in the NFC Championship game against the Chiefs. Against the it wasn't the Chiefs. It was the Packers. Against the Packers, and they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs in 2020. But I think the quality of depth that the 49ers are experiencing isn't as prominent as it was in previous seasons. So you got a lot of different. You got your first. You got your starter going down, and you got your second string guy going down, and now it's up to your third string and practice squad guys coming in. So they're experiencing different problems that a lot of other teams who have missed the playoffs are experiencing now. Like they've gotten by with not. I wouldn't say they haven't gotten lucky, but they've been fortunate to have the wealth of depth that they've had in previous years. But right this season they don't have it this year.
Oh, sorry, I missed the last part of that. I'm not sure if it was on my end or on my end you froze, but I got we're both back now. We're both back.
Yeah,
I am like
it was on your end
self-conscious.
because that was all right.
All right, yeah. My I'm self-conscious because of my computer now. I'm like, but I think we're okay. I only missed the last part of that.
That's okay. Well, I was just basically echoing your point. As I think one of our points is that unlike past seasons, the 49ers don't have the wealth of depth that they've had in previous seasons.
Yeah.
So that's what contributed to their downfall this year, with a lot of injuries and a lot of second string guys coming up, getting hurt, and you got to rely on your third string guys and your practice squad guys to fill in those gaps. And if they don't get as much playing time as they ought to, then it's the quality on the field is not going to be as prominent, especially on the offensive side. The defense is playing all right. I mean, their defense is going to be the defense.
Yeah, defense
even without
is good.
Nick Bosa, they're playing pretty well. But on the offensive side of the ball, you're starting to see the cracks in the armor.
Yeah, and also credit to the Rams in this game. I know didn't talk about them as much, but their defense, you were the one saying that defense probably wasn't going to miss Aaron Donald as much as I thought they would. I thought their defense was going to go right in the toilet. And you kind of said, watch out now. They could be better than you think. And I got to tip my cap again to you, sir, because you were right about that. But the Rams also, no touchdowns in this game. This game was tough to watch. I did watch a little bit of it, but I watched it as I was watching the Game Awards, hosted by Jeff Keighley. I watch him every year. And also, I was gaming with friends of mine. That's where the iPad comes in clutch, my friends. I was gaming on the big screen. I had the iPad watching the Niners game on the table, and it wasn't much to watch. No touchdowns in this game. Cooper Kupp, I started him in fantasy. He got me a bagel. So I'm really in trouble.
You and Julie saying Cooper Kupp really screwed me over in that game. Come on, man.
Yeah. So that's tough. But it just wasn't great to watch. But credit to the Rams. They came up with a victory. I was rooting for the Niners. I'm sorry, Playmaker. But I want no part of your team right now. I talked about it on Seahawks Sessions, episode 1, with Mr. Smooth, who has made his way into the chat. So if you want to hear more about some of the thoughts on the Niners, some of Staniel's thoughts, tune into that show, of course. And also, I'm always going to be talking Seahawks on this show. Ryan's going to have to play the Homer Alert beacon for me.
All right. Julie's asking, didn't Jerick McKinnon play for the Chiefs too? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Yes, he played for the Chiefs in 2021. He's actually as his last team, 2023. He's currently a free agent. So, but he played for San Francisco and from 2018 to 2020, initially played with the Minnesota Vikings. So, I just saw a stat. If you saw my face a little bit while you were talking, I just caught this stat on Twitter from NBA Central.
Oh,
The last night's Hornets Bulls game, they combined for 75 missed 3-pointers last night.
wow.
The NBA's dead.
Yeah,
NBA's
that's too
dead.
much. I mean, I love a 3-pointer as much as the next person, but when you're missing them that much, stop. Take other shots. Wow.
Yeah, it's gross. It's gross.
2-pointers work too.
Yeah. Six saying this has been a rough season for San Francisco, given the number of injuries in the roster as well as the nonsense off the field.
Yeah.
The upcoming offseason should be a rebuilding time for the 49ers. Blow up the season and call it a season. I wouldn't say so much rebuild, but a retool.
Yeah, they're going to have to retool big.
Yeah, they're going to have to restructure some contracts because they're going to want to sign Brock Purdy to a long-term deal because he's got a 50-year option coming up. Sick also asking, you want some cream cheese with that bagel, Dustin?
That'll be the only thing that makes it better, although I prefer my bagels with butter. I'm a heathen like that.
Toasted sesame bagel with peanut butter. It's a life changer.
All right, I'll give that a shot, man.
Life changer. And speaking of, Mr. Smooth is in the chat. Seahawks sessions, lads. He also says death by field goals. Yeah, definitely. That's one of those uglier. And I mean, Dustin, you had said the last couple of weeks of Thursday Night Football have been absolutely great. Yeah. This game was just complete dog water.
Yeah, crazy. And I thought it was going to be a good one. That's why, friends of mine, they're like, you want a game? I said, yeah, but let me go get the iPad. I got to watch Thursday night for the show. And I had also said the last couple of weeks that I failed because at the beginning of the season, I was like, Ryan, I will watch Thursday Night Football, but like, I got this. But, the life happens sometimes. Yep. And when the games are bad, you don't really want to watch them that much.
No, you don't.
That's why there should be no Thursday Night Football until week 10.
Yep. All right, we're going to take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of what's standing out in week 14 as we preview week 14 in the NFL. So stand by, stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. As I frantically make sure I have no snot on my mustache after I blow my nose during the break, Invader Coffee.
I'm sure Invader will love that.
I'm sure they will. You're fired. But Dustin, this week I made sure to look at the website because you said last week, I said they were having some stocking issues. This week I checked. I got myself some tiramisu.
Oh,
season's here.
How's that? Here.
Oh, it's got a little, tiramisu. A good tiramisu has espresso, a little bit of toastiness, and a little bit of rum, like a little rum aftertaste. And this definitely hits the spot if you're a tiramisu fan. But I also got myself the cookie crumble.
Oh, it's my
seasonal flavors are back. I got the cookie crumble. Next order, I'm probably gonna get myself the Jolly Java. Unfortunately, the Bad Santa, if you like ground coffee, it's only available in ground right now for the Bad Santa. But hopefully, they'll have more in stock, and that means we'll have whole bean. Whole bean Bad Santa is a game changer.
Yeah, it is. It is, because confessional time. I thought I got a whole bean when I put in my last order, but you are correct. They only have the Bad Santa in ground right now, and I'm drinking it, and it's still got the delicious flavor. I still like, honestly, and as crazy as it sounds, when you get older, you realize it's the simple things the holiday blends are something that I really look forward to, and they have become an integral part of my Christmas preparation. If I don't have holiday blends of Invader, I'm not ready to celebrate the holiday season. Enjoying Bad Santa right now in this mug. Highly recommend it. It's Ryan's favorite of the holiday blends. My favorite is the cookie crumble, but the Jolly Java, delicious too. Man, I just continue to be satisfied with Invader, and it's one of the favorite parts of my weekend, specifically Saturday mornings, because both Ryan and I, we usually ground up a fresh cup of Invader right before the show. And observant people may have seen me pouring a refill during the last segment, but try some. You won't be disappointed. Make it a part of your holiday celebrations. And they make great gifts for people. They have in previous years, and I haven't checked the website to see if they're available, but they have a variety pack which features all 3 of the holiday blends, and it comes in wonderful packaging. And I've sent it to people before. They love it.
Yep. And you can help the show by using the link in the description on Facebook and on YouTube and the podcast side. And also use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. Save a little coin, 15% off your order. Save a little coin from the shipping. It'll be in your house in a matter of days, not a matter of weeks. You don't have to wait for it. It's great coffee, low acidity, air roasted. Absolutely some of the best coffee I've ever had. So go to the link in the description. Go to Invader Coffee. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. Get 15% off your order. And you help the show. You help the show. You can tell them that no credentials required to send you. All right, we're going to quickly go through week 14. What's outstanding to us? We're going to start the most intriguing matchup. And Dustin, you're chuckling like a little schoolgirl over there. What's the?
It was mainly because 56 minutes into the show, we are about to preview the week.
Hey man, you get me talking about food, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, that's both. That I think that's everybody. The hot food takes. That's what I look forward to I always look forward to the show. Like,
yeah,
I get happy. I'm like, oh man, I get to podcast today. But man, the Saturday shows, I really love the feel of the Saturday morning shows.
Yeah. So most intriguing matchup, week 14 in the NFL. Dustin, who do you got on your radar?
For me, and Julie timed it well again, she's here for some of the Lions talk. It's Bills-Lions for me because we know how good the Detroit Lions are. In my mind, they are the class in the NFC. Their running attack, Sonic and Knuckles, have it going. Dan Campbell is using each effectively. You got to, and he's really reined in the going for it on 4th down, which has helped this season. He's kind of reined it in, but he still does it when he needs to and still shows his belief in his team. Jared Goff playing incredibly well. All the things. I think the Lions need to get Amon-Ra involved a little bit more than they have the last couple of games. The offense is always better when Amon-Ra is a focal point of it. But this matchup against the Bills has me intrigued because the Bills are going to be they fought back. You got to credit them with the way that they fought back against the Rams in that game. And the X factor for the Bills, they're not as good as a team overall than they've been in past years, in my opinion. James Cook has been at points this season incredible running the ball. And their defense has been, not on the level that it's been in some past seasons. But what's made the difference for the Bills this year, and they finally got Amari Cooper involved somewhat last game. So if they keep doing that, that'll mean better things for them. But what makes the difference for the Bills this year is the fact that Josh Allen has taken his play to another level. Josh Allen is going to be the X factor in this game. The Lions have to figure out a way to stop Josh Allen because this is no disrespect to Jared Goff. Jared Goff is in the MVP conversation, but I think most people would still give the edge to Josh Allen at quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. When you match these two teams up, he is also in MVP conversation. And after last week, it's deservedly so. And the Josh Allen of the past, where he kind of tries to do too much and be too heroic, and it leads to problems. We haven't seen that version of Josh Allen rear his head this year. But maybe against the Lions defense, who has been very good under Aaron Glenn, especially considering all their injuries. This game has a lot to like about it. I'll be looking forward to this one.
Yeah, this was on my radar too, but I decided to go on a different route, and I'll tell you why. I chose the most intriguing matchup as the Dolphins and Texans.
Okay.
Mostly because I didn't want to, have the same, be like, same. I'm watching this game too. Although it will be on my radar, especially since the 425 game is I think it's the game of the week on Fox, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I have Dolphins Texans as my most intriguing matchup. And here's why. The Dolphins have won 4 out of the last 5 games. Granted, they were against teams that they were supposed to beat, like the Raiders, the Jets, in a way the Rams, because they were kind of middling at that point. But now the Rams are the Rams are on the upswing. All right, just keep an eye on them. But they're being teams they're supposed to beat. They're still on the outside looking in. I think they're a game and a half back of. I think they and Indy are a game and a half back of the last wild card spot, which belongs to Denver. And the Texans, meanwhile, are coming off a bye week. By the way, you should not have a bye week in week 14.
Ugh.
And there should not be 6 teams on a bye week in week 14, as Mr. Kevin Wilson said last week. But they've had to look at themselves in the mirror because they've lost in the last 6 games. They're a 500 team. They inexplicably lost to a terrible Titans team that finished like 10. It was 10-6 against they lost 10-6 against the Jaguars. If you lose a game where you allow only 10 points, you should be shot into the sun. All right. And that's telling you New York Jets too. All right, because it happened to you in week 4. But the Texans, I think they took this week to look themselves in the mirror, and they're still kind of trying to figure out who they are, especially on the offense. Nico Collins came back against the Titans, had a pretty magical games, but that was it. But they've kind of turned their attention to the running game with Joe Mixon. So I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm. You like that?
So this is going to be an interesting matchup because you got 2 teams who are the Texans are trying to hold on in the South, and the Dolphins are trying to claw their way back into a playoff spot after being left for dead. And then Tua comes back and magically, we win 4 out of 5. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is my most intriguing matchup of the week. That is for sure. Desperation City / Bounce Back City. And I'm going to lead off with this one. For me, the Colts, and this is a Desperation City for sure. Colts Broncos, Battle of the Horsies. Both taste like ranch.
We got to make a graphic for that the next time they play.
It tastes like ranch. They taste of horsies. Both teams are coming off of byes. Both teams are AFC playoff bubble teams. Denver holds the last playoff spot currently. Indianapolis is a game and a half behind them. A win for the Colts would be huge because, as I mentioned on Tuesday's show, I think they have the easiest path to the final wild card spot in the AFC. However, they got to win this game first. And it's not going to be easy for them because they're playing their offense with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. I still don't trust him.
Yeah.
I don't trust him. He's got weapons, but I don't trust him. They're playing against a top 3 defense. The Colts defense is playing against, in my mind, the rookie of the year in Bo Nix. And they're also playing at a hostile environment at Mile High Stadium. I don't call it Empower Field. I call it Mile High Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
In this house, we call it Mile High Stadium. So this is the Colts. It's going to be tough sledding for them if they want to keep in the playoff hunt. But at the same time, if they win this game, it's a nice launching pad to a very easy 3 games remaining in the season. Tennessee, Giants, Jaguars. So Colts, Broncos, that's my Desperation City. Who are you seeing in Desperation City this week in week 14, Dustin?
Well, I kind of took Desperation City into a different direction because both of these teams, and you got to get the beacon ready, Ryan. You got to get the siren ready. Both of these
Homer
teams,
alert!
both of these teams need a win, which is why I'm calling this game Desperation City. My beloved Seattle Seahawks need this win against the Green Bay Packers because Staniel was saying last night on Seahawks Sessions, again, tune in. He has thoughts about what the Seahawks could do with the rest of their schedule if they win this game. We didn't have the Rystradamus thunderclap, so I didn't want to be like, are you bold enough to make that, a prediction? But and if memory serves, last week you had a prediction about the Colts. And just say Staniel's thoughts are similar about my beloved Seahawks. Tune in to find out what he says. But the Seahawks have won 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. They need this game against the Packers. Now the teams that they have beat, the Cardinals have kind of come back to earth a little bit. None of the teams that they have beaten in this latest run are on the level of the Green Bay Packers because they lost to the Rams. They could have had that game won, but they lost to the Rams. It was kind of the start of the Rams turnaround. But the Seahawks defense has been playing better in recent weeks. They finally have the offensive line, still not great, but the play at center has been fantastic. And also Lucas's return has brought a modicum of stability to the offensive line. We'll have to see if Kenneth Walker plays in this game. Could be Zach Charbonnet again, but he looked great last week. But the Packers also need this win because guess what? They're in a division where 2 other teams are winning every time they play. The Vikings and Lions, the Packers need to win at the very least in an attempt to keep pace with the Packers and the Lions and solidify their playoff spots. So this game has high stakes for both teams, and it's why I picked it for my Desperation City, because both teams are desperate for a win, not because they've been on losing streaks or anything, but they just both need this win badly.
Yeah. Seahawks need it to keep pace, to stay in first in the West. Packers need it to stay on pace with the Lions in the Central, the North.
Yeah.
But they also need it. I mean, they're in good shape with the wild card at least.
Yeah.
But they want to keep pace in the division. They got to win this game.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to hate ourselves for just a moment with the self-hatred game of the week.
Ready? And pull! Trash!
And Dustin, there's some dogs in week 14 in the NFL. Who's your self-hatred game of the week?
Well, there was one that jumped off the sheet to me, but I was like, I can't pick it because I knew you were going to pick that game. I said I'm not picking it. So I'm picking Vikings Bears, and let me tell you why. Because the Bears are an abject disaster right now. They can't get anything going in spite of all the talent. There was a lot of promise for the Bears this offseason. Let's not forget. And everyone who wants to shovel dirt on the corpse of Caleb Williams right now, they were the same people that were hyping this guy to the moon to start the season. So I still think Caleb's going to be all right. He's having some growing pains. He's had points where he's looked good, but you got to put some of it on the previous coaching staff. I mean, Matt Eberflus's end of game management, pretty terrible. And let me just throw it out there. Kyle Shanahan and also McDermott are lucky that both their teams are good. And Shanahan's case, not winning this season, but has won enough that their end of game management hasn't come up under as much scrutiny because they've been winning over the time. But Sean McDermott and Kyle Shanahan, both of them have some problems. But the Vikings Bears could get out of hand very, very quickly because the Bears just can't seem to muster anything. Their defense is better than people realize because their record is so bad. So maybe the defense does enough to keep them in it. But Sam Darnold, after coming back to earth a little bit, he threw 5 touchdowns this week or last week. His confidence is coming back. And Justin Jefferson said it himself. I either get the touchdowns or I'm double covered and a teammate is left open and other people are going to eat. So, you gotta worry about Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones. I hope he goes off for my fantasy purposes. I hope he goes off against the Bears, but this one could get out of hand in a hurry. And Brian Flores' defense has been good enough at points to absolutely shut teams down. And I think that's what he'll do to the Bears. I'm not going to want to watch this one. Thank goodness for Red Zone.
Actually, that game is a double. It's 2 games on Monday night. That's a Monday night game.
Right. I forgot the Monday night doubleheader. I was too fast looking at the dates.
That's okay. Because I have another team to watch. I have another game to watch that night. This game's gonna be fun for myriad of reasons. But my self-hatred game of the week, it's finally here, folks. I'm finally putting my team in this category. Jets and Jaguars. I finally put the Jets in this category because it's taking me 14 weeks to put them in this category because they're playing a team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who last week scored only 10 points, but still won. The Jets will be facing Mac Jones at quarterback. They've never beaten Mac Jones. It's going to be in Jacksonville. And let me take a look at the weather for Jacksonville. Actually, let me go to the link. And it's going to be a Fox game. So this is how bad this game is. CBS said, no, Fox, you can have this one. Actually, a game time weather is going to be nice. It's going to be 76 degrees and mostly sunny in Jacksonville. I thought it would be a rain game.
Okay.
But it's not. It's not a rain game. But I've reached the point where I just for 1 year, and like I said last week, it's death taxes, the Jets being eliminated from the playoffs. And they were eliminated from the playoffs last week with their loss to Miami. And it's just an evaluation game right now. It's an evaluation game. We're going to see if Aaron Rodgers is going to pass for a 300-yard game and somehow the defense is going to blow it. We're going to see if the defense can play a strong game and their offense not show up. So praise the Lord for Red Zone on this game because I'm over it. I'm over it this year. I'm a sad, but think about it this way. The Lions are my spirit team right now. Okay. I said, I've been talking about this in the program. The Lions are my spirit team. And this is not me being a bandwagon fan. It's just, I need somebody to root for this year because the Jets have been so horrible since week 4 and they have not won a Sunday game since week 2.
Yeah.
And this is tough. I'm not saying this is tough sledding, but it's tough sledding because the Jaguars are terrible. Doug Peterson's probably getting fired after the season's done.
Probably.
This is 2 coaches playing for they're coaching for their jobs right now. Even though I don't think Jeff Ulbrich is the guy.
I don't think so.
Terrible coach.
He seems, from an outside perspective, Ryan, and you would know better than me, but the management and or lack thereof was really, the Jets should have won that Seahawks game. Now, I'm glad they didn't, but they should have won that Seahawks game. It got to the point where there was a point in the game where there was too many men on the field, and one of the players called a timeout because he spotted it before Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich did not use a timeout. They were about to get penalized for it again, but a heads-up player made a play and called a timeout. That's on your coach. Your coach should notice that. And I was talking to Scott at the game, and he said, he's in over his head all the time. That's what he said. So I don't think he survives.
No, he doesn't survive because he's, I think, he's got 1 win.
Yeah, I think
he's got like one or 2 wins since he became head coach.
Yeah.
So no, actually, no, it was one win. It was a Thursday night game. It was a Halloween night game against the Texans.
Yeah, against the Texans, which looking back on that, that's a surprising win with how, but it just shows because at the beginning of that Seahawks Jets game, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't miss Garrett Wilson wide open, they're up 21-0, and it changes the tenure of that game. At points, that's what's got to be so frustrating for you, is at points the Jets look like they can play to their potential.
Yeah,
and
that was last week. That was last week against Miami.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers on potentially game-winning drives is 0-6 this year. So I don't know if the magic is lost or if it's just terrible. It's just bad coaching. It could be either or. He says he wants to come back next year. He wants to play next year, whether it be with the Jets or somebody else. I personally think they move on from him this year. After this season.
If they're smart, they would.
I think they just, but it would just be such the cap money, the dead cap money would just be ridiculous. But sometimes you have to go through pain in order to get well. So
yeah, the Broncos would like a word.
No, we got some ads. We got some ads from our friends Sick Digging. The South Hatred Games is brought to you by Clearwater Laxative Colon Cleanse. Clearwater Laxative. When things get muddy, Clearwater is your buddy. And Chicken Wing Head Shaver. Ditch the hair plugs and embrace the baldy.
I'm gonna go out and get some Clearwater because when things get muddy, Clearwater is your buddy. That's a great, you did a great job with that one, Sick.
I may have to make an element for that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our players to watch on offense this week. I'm going to lead off with this one. We mentioned there's 2 Monday night games.
Yes.
Bears, Vikings at 8, and at 8:30, a game that could qualify. You could qualify it as a self-hatred game of the week, but it's not for me this week.
All right.
Atlanta at Vegas.
Could be rough.
Desmond Ridder revenge game, baby. It's coming. It's coming. Desmond Ridder, who was yeeted into the sun by the Atlanta Falcons after they signed Kirk Cousins and drafted Michael Penix Jr. for some ungodly reason. They decided to release him. He signs with the Cardinals. Gets released by the Cardinals, winds up with the Raiders as a third-string quarterback because for whatever reason Antonio Pierce decided to go with Gardner Minshew for this season.
Yes,
he gets hurt. Aiden O'Connell gets hurt in the game last week against Tampa, but I guess the injury is not as bad as they thought it was.
Oh, okay.
But he's still out for this game, so they're bringing in Desmond Ridder to play his old team.
Oh, man.
On Monday night in Las Vegas. And I'm curious. I'm going to watch this game not because for 2 reasons. It could be one of 2 things. Either it's a complete train wreck and you can't look away, or Desmond Ridder is going to pass for like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
All right.
So I'm curious to see what this game's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of sold me on it. You kind of sold me because wouldn't it be poetic justice if he comes in and just lights it up? That would be something. But I don't know.
It is the Raiders though, so
yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you kind of sold me. I'll probably be tuning in with a little more gusto than I would have before. Watch both of these games be like some of the best games of the week. I'm speaking it into existence so we don't have to suffer through the doubleheader, Ryan.
No. And this is the team that has lost 9 games in a row. So they got to break the streak somehow. And they're playing a Falcons team that is on a slide. They're on a slide right now.
Yeah, to put it mildly. Yeah, they are on a slide. And it's funny because I was going to make a joke about Aiden O'Connell. Apparently, he's only good when he plays the Chiefs. But, so the Raiders got to figure out something at quarterback. But as we discussed on one of the previous shows, Antonio Pierce probably not going to be back, I would imagine.
Yeah. Also, one more player to watch on offense, and we got to send some thoughts and prayers to this guy, Randy Moss. Who is taking some time off from his from Countdown. He announced that he has cancer.
Yeah,
He
liver
went-
cancer, I believe.
He has liver cancer. So I'm sending my prayers and thoughts to him. And he's a guy, he always was fun to watch on the field, even though he was infuriating to watch when he was a Patriot playing my Jets. But he was always magic on the field. And he's pretty, from what I understand, he does a pretty decent job on NFL Countdown. So, but
Yeah.
as a human, but from a human perspective, from a human perspective, you don't want to see anybody go through this, and especially a guy like Randy Moss. So, give my condolences, my prayers out to him. Hope he gets well soon.
Yeah, that's a great. Great. I agree with everything you said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, get well soon, Mr. Moss, as Six says in the comments. I agree.
And Moss cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer can get mossed.
Yeah. You can make another one-handed grab, and get rid of that cancer. So get well soon. But my player to watch on offense, and I'm sorry to do this, but it's the game I had my eye on this week. We previewed it on Seahawks Sessions. It's got a high stakes. I'll be watching Josh Jacobs, because if Josh Jacobs is able to shred the Seahawks defense, the Seahawks are going to have a tough time winning this game. But on the other side, if Kenneth Walker is out, he is currently questionable with a calf injury, I believe. And Zach Charbonnet has to step in again. I'll be interested to see how Zach runs, because last week was his best game of the season. He was unbelievable last week. Last week was the best game of his career. Now, Kenneth Walker, still the number one guy, but when Zach Charbonnet has had to step in, he's done very well in his stead. But Josh Jacobs having an amazing season. It's only been overshadowed because of the seasons that Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are having. But Josh Jacobs has been a wonderful pickup for the Packers, and I will have my eye on him, and I'm hoping that the Seahawks defense can at least shut him down a little bit here.
Yep. All right, let's talk about who we're going to watch on defense.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
Shout out to our tribal chief, the one and only Wiesel Hefe.
Yeah.
Who are you watching on defense, Dustin?
Well, on defense, I'm gonna go a little off the board. I will be watching now. They've regressed a little bit. And candidly, was I going to pick the Seahawks defense for this? Yes, but I can't, because I've talked about them way, way, way too much. So the defense that I'll be watching is another game that I almost picked for the self-hatred game of the week. I'll be watching the Giants pass rush to see if they can do anything against the Baltimore Ravens, because the Baltimore Ravens, for as good as they have been, they do have a habit of sometimes playing down to competition. I go back to week 2 against the Raiders when they lost that game, and the Raiders defense was able to keep them in check. Now, in my opinion, Max Crosby, the Giants don't have anybody quite to the level of Max Crosby, but if they can generate a pass rush like they were earlier in the season and do some that and try to contain Lamar, can they keep this game closer than I think anybody thinks? So I'll have my eye on the Giants pass rush in this one.
You know what the spread is in that game?
Oh, man, I know.
Baltimore's favored by 16.5.
Oh, jeez, man.
I think it might be the largest spread in the NFL this season.
Yeah,
we don't talk gambling on this show or doing sports booking on this show, but that's a pretty big spread.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of sports booking, shout out to our guy Gaz, and I'll tell you why. So Gaz, back in August, put in a 17 parlay for the college football playoff. He had Ohio State
tweet about this.
Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, SMU, and Boise State, all to make the college football playoff. His odds were 24 plus 24,213. Hit. It hit on Sunday.
That's amazing.
He didn't share the payout, but I suspect if you put some coin on it, the payout
Yeah.
is significant. So
Yeah,
shout out to Gaz.
the Gozlowski house probably going to have a good Christmas
Yes.
this year.
Yeah. My player to watch on defense for the second consecutive week is Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. He had 1 sack last week against the Cowboys. This week he's playing the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis has been sacked 39 times this year.
That it's so many times.
It's a lot.
It's so many times. I think Caleb Williams he's been sacked more, hasn't he? I'm trying to remember.
I believe you are correct, but I'll double check that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, but Will Levis, he's getting clobbered back there. Will Levis is one of the most confounding players to watch in all of football, I feel like, because at points he looks good and you're like, okay, I see why this guy was drafted. And then at other points he's like, he does boneheaded stuff.
Yeah. So here's your quarterback in descending order. So number 5, Will Levis, 39 times. And tied for third, Sam Darnold.
Oh, wow.
And Geno Smith have both been sacked 40 times.
Okay, yeah, Geno doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
At number 2, CJ Stroud. 41 times. He's been sacked 41 times this year. And at number 1 with a bullet, with a whopping 56 times being sacked, and we're only in week 14.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's pretty oof.
Yeah. So Trey Hendrickson, I suspect he'll get at least 1 sack, if not more. He's the current NFL sack leader. I suspect he'll get 1 or more in this game, barring anything disastrous happening with that defense. Because Cincinnati, they're back in the playoff hunt as well in the AFC. So that's another team that's looking to get some wins. Although the last 2 games of their schedule this year, this coming up, are really tough. They end the year against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I forgot who they play in week 17. I'm gonna double check real quick. I thought I had it memorized, but I didn't. The Broncos.
Oh, yeah, that could
but
be
at
tough.
home, so we'll see what happens. But Joe Burrow, maybe we can single-handedly lead them to a playoff berth, but their defense has got to step things up as they have in the past. So
yeah, I mean, I think at minimum, we've talked about before, if the Bengals don't make the playoffs, then Zach Taylor's probably gone. But I think at minimum, that defensive coordinator, he gets let go. Because the thing is, the Bengals are a team this year that defies the old Bill Parcells quote of "you are what your record says you are." The Bengals, especially offensively, are a better team than this.
yes,
And they've had a lot of hard luck losses. They finally got a break against the Cowboys. They haven't gotten a break at all this season, but that defense, offensively, the Bengals are as scary as anybody in that league, but the defense can't stop anybody. I mean, geez.
and they got they allowed 20 to the Cowboys, but
Yeah,
that's
with
the
Cooper
Cowboys.
Rush at quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, this is week 15. My bad. It's week 15. So let's see who the announcers are for week 15 in the NFL.
Oh no, please don't say it.
Hold on. So let's see. Sunday night. So the Monday night games, and Sick was asking in the comments, this coming Monday Night Football is a doubleheader. In a way, yes. It's I mean, one's
Staggered
on ABC. It's a staggered start. So Vikings Bears is on ABC, which should never gone to ESPN in the first place.
I agree.
And Falcons Raiders is on ESPN. So the ABC game will be the traditional Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters. On ESPN, it'll be Chris Fowler, Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky, and Laura Rutledge as your sideline reporter.
Okay. I thought you were going to go through the Sunday slate, and I guarantee you that Spiro Ditas will be on that Jets-Jags game.
No, it's on Fox.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, man. That's right. I was thinking.
Sweet. Like Chris Myers, Mark Schlereth, and Jen Hale. Sweet.
All right. That's not bad at all.
I like Chris Myers, and it's a nice little pivot he's had in his career. going from interview style programs on ESPN to play by play on the NFL on Fox. And I'm like Mark Schlereth at this color commentary. Stink.
Yeah, me too. I
Real
like Stink. I mean, clearly Fox doesn't like him because they put him on their lowest team, so to speak. But I mean, I've always liked Stink, and what he brings to a game. And I loved him on ESPN Radio when he would do guest spots on Mike and Mike. It was awesome.
And I don't know why he's on this game, but Spiro Ditas has the Colts Broncos call.
All right, I'm gonna mute the sound when we're going through that one.
He should be on Ravens Giants, but
yeah. Ryan and I demoting him to the worst game always.
Of course he should. I mean, he's the D game, like the D coverage anyway.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get out of here because we've gone on long enough.
We have.
We got on long enough.
56 minutes into the show, we finally start breaking down the week.
Hey, this is happens when we get rolling on good topics.
Yeah.
But on social media, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/NoCurdsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, and scarcely TikTok @NoCurdsREQ, youtube.com/@NoCurdsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And get yourself notified on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. That way you know when shows are live or when we put up some material or we have a social media announcement. That way you are always notified. Rate and review. A 5-star rating helps. A review always helps. On Spotify, if you're subscribed, leave us a comment. You can leave us a comment on any of our shows, past or current, or most recent, or past. And engage with the show as people have been. As Mr. Wilson says, I don't know if I think it's possible for YouTube to go on too long. But we've seen on the live show, we always have comments coming in.
Yeah.
If you're watching on replay, either on YouTube or on Rumble, leave us a comment. Unless you're a thirsty hoe looking for work, we're poor. Also, if you're on Instagram and you're liking us and you have an Instagram page, and you have a OnlyFans page, keep stepping. Keep stepping. Run clean your link. Again, we're poor. But anyway, we're going to get out of here and enjoy our weekends. But you've been tuning into No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back here on Tuesday at around 8:30 p.m. Eastern to review Week 15 in the NFL. So enjoy the football. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.
Good morning, everybody.
There it is.